Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the show at Rise Up Show with me, your host, the Queen Bee, Dani. How are you feeling? As we chat this morning to the devilishly handsome, the fabulously wonderful, the incredibly knowledgeable Mr. Fidel Bohill, the modern man. Good morning. Jodie Soul, good morning. Fabna Reddy, good morning. Elise Woodbine, good morning. The devilishly handsome Ian Dixon, good morning, sir.
Shut up, for f***'s sake. Jesus.
The fantastic Lizzie Jackson Barrett, good morning. Josephine Sandra, everybody, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hello, welcome to the show, Rise Up Show. How are you? I am here. It is your host, Dani Well, the Queen Bee in the house. I hope you are all well. It is Thursday. It's Thursday. I don't know why, honestly, you guys, losing track of the days is a thing right now, but I hope you are all good. You will notice that this week I have been sporting my Fly Anyway t-shirt, courtesy of the incredible Juggleware. I love how we've got so many sort of collaborations and affiliates that are happening right now. It makes me feel like a little bit like an influencer. I'm here for it. But I am sported from the incredible Juggleware. Go check them out on Instagram. The Fly Anyway t-shirt. So it's been designed specifically for us, for IATQB, as 75% of the profits go to the Fly Anyway Foundation, which is just phenomenal. Those of you who don't know what the Fly Anyway Foundation is, it's the charitable foundation that I have set up, where I work with, or will be working with when we welcome them on board in May, people that have survived domestic abuse and have business ideas and want to create their independence, their financial independence, once again, by building incredible businesses. So we have an army of fantastic ambassadors who have either donated or significantly reduced the cost of their business products, goods and services so that our business builders can access them. So thank you to everybody who is making this happen. Much more exciting stuff coming around that a little bit later on this month. But right now, I want you to, because these are only available for a few short weeks. So if you want to support the Fly Anyway Foundation, you can do it two ways right now. One is you go to Juggleware and go and buy one of our specially designed Fly Anyway t-shirts. They are gorgeous and they're really, really super, super comfy. I feel like I'm doing an ad. Good morning. Here's our sponsored ad. But yeah, we're raising money for the Fly Anyway Foundation in readiness to take on the first of our business builders. We need money in the coffers in order to be able to have our business builders access all of the awesome stuff and also to do all of the marketing around it so we can attract those incredible people in. So yes, that's the first thing that I need to tell you. Second thing that I need to tell you is Be Inspired tickets are now live. Be Inspired tickets are now live. They have been for a couple of weeks, but you need to make sure you get your ticket to what is going to, I promise, I absolutely promise it's going to be the live conference to end all live conferences for us in our space. 22nd and 23rd of April, online. I'm taking my speakers, 22 of them in total, to a TV studio in the Midlands, and we are going to be sharing with you motivation, celebration, inspiration. We're going to be sharing with you business stuff, personal stuff, spiritual stuff, everything in between. It is going to be a phenomenal event. You are going to want to be part of it. Tickets are only 89 quid. Plus, you can get the cost of your ticket back to you through our affiliate scheme, which is just insane. So if you have not got your ticket to Be Inspired yet, you need to go to imthequeenbee.co.uk/be inspired. And it should bring you the tickets up. If it doesn't bring you the tickets up, just put tickets in the comments and I will bang you the link so you can go and grab yours today and get more information. I am going to be banging this drum every day for the next 6 weeks, unapologetically, because I know that this event is going to be insane. We've targeted ourselves to reach 1,000 people with this event, and I mean 1,000 people attending this event. I don't just mean sort of people knowing about it, but actually 1,000 people. It is going to be the biggest online event that we know of in our circle. It's the biggest thing I've ever undertook for IATQB. I'm so excited to bring all of that energy to you, to bring that excitement to you, to bring that motivation to you. Our speakers are primed and ready. The majority of them have been working with me directly to make sure that they are bringing to you all of that professional quality speaking, all of that professional quality information, edutainment, and you may even get some songs from me as well. So it is going to be insane. You want to get your tickets. It is Be Inspired, 22nd and 23rd of April. It is not far away. What else do I need to tell you? What's Jojo saying? Is the world ready for this buzz? It absolutely is. It is coming. It is going to be awesome. Please do, if you do know one of the speakers, do go and see them and go and get your tickets from them. It's just going to be insane. It is going to be insane. Other things. I went in my house yesterday. I don't know if I've mentioned it, but oh God, we've bought a house and we are like a week and a half, less than, oh my God, a week tomorrow we will be completing. We will get the keys to our house a week tomorrow. And if you are new to the show, that is not me bragging. That is the house that you see me in right now. I'm in my bedroom, as it stands, in the house that I have had to live in after I became homeless with my 2 little girls. So we have really fought our way back from the brink over the past 10 years, and really specifically over the past four years when we started to grow IATQB, and we are now in a position that we're going to move in to our new house. You can see I'm very, very excited about it. But yesterday, and for anybody that's on House Watch, I've been sat outside that house, seeing every single chuffing brick go on the thing. Like I've been making eyes at the builders, willing them to hurry up, all of this stuff. And yesterday I was allowed inside for the first time. And it was weird. It was weird because there's nothing in it. I was just saying that we've got the incredible Tom Crawley from Maramosa. He's joining us this morning in just a couple of minutes. And he was looking at a very similar house. And you know, he would say to me, I don't know if any of you have found this, if you've been in this position before, but the empty rooms look small. And I was like, it's quite a big house. And I was like, is this smaller? It's exactly the same dimensions as the show home that we went into. It's very strange. But yeah, so we went in yesterday and they're just finishing off some painting. The floor's yet to go down. So it's like so near yet so far. There's still quite a lot to be done before we complete, but it was really cool to be sort of in there and walking up the stairs and standing upstairs. Obviously, I was there when it was just foundations. There was no upstairs, so it was really, really cool. It always feels smaller when empty. Oh, good. I'm glad, because I was like, have they made the house smaller just because I got excited by the show house? But they can't do that, can they? So yeah, it did feel a bit smaller. The other thing that I did was take with me, securely, by the way, we were both masked, as I took with me the incredible Diana Spellman from Serenely Sorted. So what she's done is she's come around the house with me and measured up all the fitted wardrobes. She's measured up all of the kitchen space, utility space. And she's, you know, like when you move in, you kind of know where all the big stuff is going to go. And one of the things that we negate is where all the smaller stuff is going to go. And you and I both know that the smaller stuff is what creates the untidiness and the messiness in a house. Exhibit A. Look at the ridiculousness, the bit behind the scenes around how ridiculous my desk is. You can only imagine. My desk is a living embodiment of what's going on in my head. So what she's actually doing is she's coming along and she's bringing, well, she's measured me up for, measured our like units up for loads of like different baskets, different trays, all like sort of directly pertaining to what we use, how we use it, how accessible it is. And yeah, she's making us serenely sorted. But look how thoughtful this is. So there's loads of stickers for when we've done, like we can sticker up all the stuff, label up all the stuff. I don't know if you can see it. Look at that. She gave me that yesterday. We were stood in the house and I was like, so it all got a bit real yesterday. I was really excited, but I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Diana Spellman from Serenely Sorted, who is going to be helping me get in so that my life doesn't look like this anymore. I really do feel like I'm shedding the skin of everything, I guess, of the past 10 years or even longer than that. Before that, it all feels like it's all falling away and we're really stepping into this life that we've created now. So I'm so excited to bring you all on that journey. We will be working out of this bedroom for a little while yet while we get the broadband sorted at the new house. So I can't wait to do like my first show from the new house, but it won't be for a few weeks yet while we get the broadband in. Home editing, that meant to say, yeah, kind of like home editing, I think, but a little bit more accessible, a little bit less sort of like it feels a lot. The home edit or the Marie Kondo type stuff. I don't think I will be like labeling my socks and rolling up all my socks. There'll just be a basket full of socks that we can dig through. But yeah, so that's it. All updates from me, which is, it's just brilliant. It's just so exciting. So yeah, I was in my house yesterday. Today, I'm going to be working with a lot of our speakers for Be Inspired. We've got lots of one-to-ones in, getting all the nuts and bolts tightened up of their incredible talks. I know what every single speaker is speaking about, and I know every single speaker has got something for all of you. So like I say, it's such a broad spectrum of topics, but life is business and business is life. And absolutely, I want to be bringing as much sort of wholeness to our events as possible, and we are definitely doing that. So make sure you get your Be Inspired tickets. Enough of the updates. Let me know where you're watching from in the UK and abroad. Indeed, tell me what the weather is doing where you are. It's a bit blowy up here in Preston, I'll not lie. It's a bit blowy up in Blackpool. If anybody's in the Blackpool area, there have been like warnings for the coast. So you stay safe, those of you that live on the coast. Batten down the hatches and stay indoors and snuggle up is what I say. Still pissing it down in Norwich, Amy. As we welcome this morning on to the show, a family member this morning, a brother from another mother, but also he's my cousin. But he is an incredible software developer. And he is talking to us this morning about the life experiences that we have and the business experiences that we have, and being a little bit more real about the whole situation. But TC in the house. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning. You all right?
I am good. Here's the thing, mate. We try and catch up regularly, but have not been able to. So I think this is the only time that we can actually, without, actually sitting down and having a brew this morning together, as opposed to a beer or a wine, as would be preferable.
Well, always, yeah. I tell you what, you're saying about the house situation. As you can see here, I've got all the kids' toys behind me here in my office room because we homeschool all the time now, rather than just you actually,
that's a choice. You've not thrown into it.
Well, I say we. My wife is a superhero.
She is a superhero.
I'm very busy with work, but our living room, where all the toys were, has been turned into like a homeschooling corner. So at the moment, I've got all the kids' toys in here. So I literally understand what you're talking about with sorting out where all the stuff goes and everything having a home. At the moment, it doesn't. It's all here.
Yeah, I mean, when did you move into your house? 18 months ago?
Not even that. It was the end of November.
Right.
For last year. And the funny thing was, you're right, the house that you're moving into, we tried to buy. It's not the top that you're moving into. The previous one of the same, the same style of house, on that same state. Yeah, and we just couldn't make it work at the time. And
really sad because we could have been neighbours.
Well, we could have been neighbours. That would have been awesome. A lot of my friends were on there. It also would have been like a nice little community, but
I know.
we couldn't make it work. But obviously, we moved into a new build house as well, and because the exchange happened on the same day as completion for whatever reason, we couldn't book the moving van or whatever. So I had to do it all myself. So we did it all over 2 weekends. So we literally just moved everything and dumped it places, and we're still trying to find where everything's supposed to live.
So we're trying to do it the other way around. So what we've done is the house that we're in, we've like paid on for the rest of March and the rest of April, so that we can still run the business. So everything that we do is online, and these are things that we've got to think about, like our Wi-Fi connection. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is like food, water, security, like Wi-Fi. Now that needs to be added.
Yeah, I tell you what, it is really important, because when we moved in here, we couldn't get internet at all.
Right.
In fact, when we came to buy the house, the houses were built, but there was no actual pipe work for the internet at all.
Oh my God.
So obviously I was like, well, I can't buy the house if I can't get internet. And it took 3 months before Virgin Media was putting.
Yeah.
And
so
even now my internet's absolute rubbish.
We've got to make sure that we've got to make sure that we've got a crossover for sure. We've got to, otherwise everything. How do we do the show for you guys if if we don't have the interwebs. So we've got like a contingency for it. Louisa, Emily never wants to move again because he had no Wi-Fi for 2 weeks. Can you imagine? I've got a 13-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 5-year-old, all of which are wholly reliant on their connectivity and their ability to watch YouTube. So yeah, so that's what we're doing. So yeah, we need to send Diana your way, don't we? Like, it's the little things when you move in somewhere that's the pain. You can put a settee somewhere and you can put a coffee table somewhere, but it's like the toys and the bits, the little bitty shitty stuff.
I have 3 guitars just propped up on a stand next to my desk.
Yeah, for you, because the other thing that Tom does, and this is, you know, is one of your hobbies, is music runs in the family that way, is that you are a musician as well, an avid collector of guitars. So it's not just toys for the kids, it's toys for the big kids as well. Oh
yeah, definitely. But I'm justifying it because we're building a new phone system at Maramosa, and we can put our own hold music in, so it's all going to be composed by me or the team.
Yes, if you need me to come and sing, I can dulcetly sing to to the people that are ringing you for hold. But Tom, we have chatted. However, could you do us a favour and tell our listeners, you've been on the show before, but tell the people who haven't met you before, what it is that you do. Okay,
so Maramosa is a bespoke software company, and we help our customers be better and more efficient at their jobs and save money by implementing software to solve their business problems.
Right.
A lot of people tend to come to a software company knowing they need some software, but in a lot of cases, I try to take a step back and say, "Don't tell me what you think you need. Tell me what your problem is. What you're trying to solve.
Tell me what's happening."
Yeah. And we'll help you, because in a lot of cases, you know, you need that outside view, really.
Yeah.
But you know, we do an awful lot of operational stuff for people, you know, allowing them to run their businesses better, basically. Whilst we have done a job for a very, very, very high profile customer at the moment that's public facing, and it's named in an awful lot of high street names at the moment, that's not generally what we do. What we do is more operational stuff, it's more software and systems for people, you know.
Because you are so good at what you do with that, you do get approached by these huge, you know, well-known companies to come and assist them, especially when it comes to things like sorting out their logistics for Brexit.
It's been a bone of contention, if I'm honest. I
can see, right? So, for clarity's sake, when you work within operations and you work within, you know, looking at people's processes and saying, look, how can this be more efficient? How can we move this online? Should we need to getting rid of the paper side of things, getting rid of the, you know, the size of the filing that they've got to do, getting rid of the. If any of you have heard of like lean processing, where you've got to cut out the number of steps that you've got to do in order to complete a thing, then that's the kind of stuff that you do, and you attach computer software to that to make that easier, right? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I mean, all about that. I mean, whilst I say we build operational systems for people to just do their jobs, what we then do is, you know, if they've got a nasty process that's taking people time, we can put a bit of software and build something specifically to solve that.
Yeah.
You know, a prime example is we had a client who they book ferries, they book freight ferries. I can't get away from the logistics side of things. Yeah, they book freight ferries, and what were happening were they'd get a receipt back from the ferry company to say, this, you know, this is what you told us was going, but actually there was an extra driver or there was whatever else, so there's an extra fee. And they were having to manually go through these emails, look up the jobs in the system, raise the cost, whatever else. So we wrote a bit of software that passed those emails automatically. If everything matched, mark the job as okay. Otherwise, it automatically raised the charge. And it just saved hours and hours off people's work.
Somebody going like this.
Yep.
Like, I used to be a data entry clerk for Lancashire County Council in between jobs. So I would sing all over the world and I had great jobs. And then when I came home, I had to earn money in the interim because obviously I pissed all my money up a wall when I was abroad. So I'd come back and I'd like do temp jobs, and I might be in a bar in the evening and an office during the day. And I remember doing, what's the word when you've when you've had a fall at school and they fill out, what's the word, the form that they've got to fill in?
I don't know.
You know, like when
Not at school.
you lot know, tell me in the comments, what is it? It's not a risk assessment, it's the opposite of a risk, an accident form.
Like
I want to just say it's an accident. Yeah, an accident report, right? So what I would have to do is I would have to manually import all of the hand, and this is, we're going back now, what, maybe 15, 16 years, if not longer. And I remember having to type in all of this stuff, and it just wouldn't happen like that now, because people like yourself would have gone in there and automated the process, either from the input and have it all online from the start, because that's where we've gone now, is to actually just type this up instead of having a book to have this, and then having a data entry clerk that they were paying so many hours to streamline. Yeah, an accident book. I don't know if there's a proper word for it. I'm sure it's an accident book, Danielle. but that's like a classic example of saving company time and money for things that have been previously very, very manual. I guess it's kind of like what we were talking about with the tidying up, the bitty shitty jobs, actually making them more efficient. So, I mean, it's a perfect analogy, like when we're talking about things that Diana does, where she comes in and she looks at how you run your home and then offers you processes that you can do to make everything run more smoothly and keep your house tidy. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm all about that. You know, if someone's doing something on paper, I'm like, freaking stop there now.
Stop now.
Better.
But that's not really the reason why you're like here to talk to us today, because you've had some realizations over lockdown, over networking, over how people conduct themselves within business as opposed to real life, right?
Yeah. And to be fair, you were one of the people, and it was one of your emails that actually inspired me and got me thinking about this, actually, that, you know, I mean, networking is a funny thing, isn't it? Because everyone's trying to sell themselves, you know. I mean, I, as you know, I'm not a fan of networking, you know. No. I prefer the more casual side of networking rather than, you know, it's really forced and that.
And the Mexican wave of shit where you've got to give an elevator pitch in 60 seconds. You've got to stand up and do your thing and then sit down, but you're only bothered about what you're saying and not ready to listen to anyone else because you're so scared.
Exactly, yeah. Although, I mean, I have to say, you did help me with my elevator pitch, and I got a lot better at that. But yeah, I mean, my point was that people are always selling themselves and everything's great, everything's awesome. But I think that there has to be a realization. People don't really talk about when things don't go right. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody cocks up,
right?
You know, and whether that's something I've done or something my team has done, you know, or whatever that I'm ultimately responsible for. People tend not to talk about it, and people tend not, I think, to take ownership of when things cock up.
Like, we like to present ourselves in business, don't we, with this like shiny veneer of perfection because what we don't want to do is we don't want to serve ourselves up to new audience going, hey everybody, like, we fuck up and we're proud, yes, like, come and buy my stuff, we're gonna like fuck up for you. But similarly, there's got to be a relationship that you have with your clients, with the relationships that you build within business that allow for flexibility and that allow for growth, because actually that's where the real great learns happen.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily talking about where someone's really dropped the ball and done something really wrong, where there's like a disconnect, perhaps, you know, where a classic example is the client tells you, right, we need this, and we do exactly what we're told, and then afterwards, oh, but that's not exactly what we want, and then there's this whole conversation about, well, whose fault's that? And
right.
I'm the first to fall on my sword and go, oh, you know what? We'll sort it. And I think this might be my view, and it's, you know, it's wrong, but
I don't think it'll be far off, you know, Tom. You're a very intuitive man.
You know, I'm always like, well, you know what? I'll take responsibility for that. And
yeah,
people tend not to. There's an awful lot of deflection goes on and stuff, and I like to make things right. And it's that process of making things right, I think, you know, regardless of whose cock up a problem is.
Right,
absolutely.
I
want to own the problem, and we'll sort it, and we'll make it good, and how we approach that as well.
I think there's a difficulty out there, and we speak about this quite often on the show, it is from a biology point of view, our biology hasn't caught up with the constructs that we have around us. And it is intrinsically unsafe for the reptilian brain, the brain that is instinctive, the monkey brain, some people call it the monkey brain. It is intrinsically unsafe to get something wrong, because if you get something wrong in the wild, that has potentially there's mortality issues around making a poor decision. So you might eat something wrong, you might misjudge how fast that you're running and get overtaken by prey, etc., etc. In our world, as we have constructed it, the risks are not the same, but the bit of our brain that it remains in that space hasn't really evolved as fast as kind of we have in our conscious mind. So when it comes to being wrong, nobody wants to be wrong, because intrinsically there's this like kind of monkey brain saying, hey, like if you're wrong, then something really, really bad's going to happen to you. And then we do get these disconnects sometimes when you're in a client and service relationship, where if somebody, one side or the other, I've had this with some of my clients where I've asked them for something and then they haven't given me the thing, and then I can't do the next thing for them. And then they say, why have I not got the thing? Well, I've not got the thing because you've not given me the thing that I need to provide the thing. But it ends up with a little bit of a disconnect. But how we approach the solutions for that is what makes us stand out as business. And we had Helen Judney on the show just last week talking about how do we turn complaints, or how do we turn these disconnects or these disagreements actually into opportunities for growing your audience and for better experiences. And I guess that's kind of what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I think it's about being real, and I think honesty in business it's paramount. I really think it is. There's too much bluffing goes on, and there's too much, selling of how amazing we are and stuff. And I think I've had feedback from clients where, they like the idea that I'm straight with them.
Yeah.
And the honesty where, especially in our game, in software, problems do happen.
Right.
People write bugs, it happens. It's you can do everything you can to mitigate the problem and do the right thing, but inevitably these things do happen from time to time. And it's how you approach that, how you approach it with the client, I think builds those and strengthens those relationships. If you just bluff it or whatever, people don't, they see through it.
I think the thing that people are wise to now more than ever as well, being in this really strange lockdown period, a lot of us have done Zooms in our pajamas, or at least from the waist down in our pajamas. Like we all see each other in a very real way. Like you're in your room right now, you've got the kids' toys behind you. I'm here now, like literally covering up the mess that's behind here. Like there's this, we are much more aware of the fact that there are people at the other end of these businesses. So corporate speak and corporate bluffing and corporate pasting over stuff doesn't work anymore. The royal we, when we are talking to our customers, doesn't really work anymore, because they want to deal with somebody. They want to deal with a person. They don't want to deal with head office as a broad spectrum way of talking to someone. And I think one of the really cool ways that you work in Maramosa is that I know you describe it as like a boutique software company, a bespoke software company, but it is, you go into a boutique and you know that you're getting that kind of you're getting the access to the people that know what it is. You're not talking to the umbrella of HQ, right?
No, exactly. For each client that we have a specific relationship with that client, right. And whilst we're doing a bit of work on our side to now improve internally how we deal with, our growing client base, to make sure that we've one sort of approach internally. The relationship is individual with each client, and I think that possibly comes from the fact that a lot of our work does come from referral,
right?
Or from people we've worked with before. So there's a person relationship there anyway. It's not just like a faceless business thing. There's always a person element. And, I suppose this does come back to the networking thing. I suppose that, people buy into a person. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
If people like you, they'll work with you.
Yeah, for sure. Like people, what was it? People don't buy things, people buy from people. And then somebody actually corrected me one time and said, actually, people buy people. They don't buy from people. They buy the person. They make purchases based on often why they're doing what they're doing, as opposed to what they're doing. So when we articulate that more within our businesses, it makes networking very different. So you go to a networking meeting, and you and I have been to many networking meetings, like official, social, like all sorts of networking meetings. But you get that real standard standing up and going, I'm looking for someone who needs this. And like, how do they even know what they're looking for? They're not sat there. I don't go to a networking meeting thinking, I know what. I'm thinking about looking for somebody who provides bespoke software services for my business. I don't get out of bed in the morning, going to a networking meeting thinking, do you know what, today I want to go and connect with somebody who is a solicitor today. That's what I want to do. I want to connect with somebody who is in branding today. I go to and develop relationships to find out what people do. And I think that it gets mal-approached, I think, networking. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Although I do agree that you're right there, that people don't
disagree with me, Thomas. I love it when you do.
Well, but I'm also going to disagree with you because
perfect.
I was, we're building a new phone system, and I chose to do it myself, right?
Right.
I knew a couple of weeks ago, right, because of the way in which the business is growing, we need a out-of-hours phone system. So I knew I had to go and find a solution to that.
And you've got a network to find those solutions.
Well, yeah, I mean, I could very well have, if I was doing a regular network meeting, I could go and say, right, well, I'm looking for somebody who can help me with this. So I think there are instances where you will do that.
Yeah.
But in the day-to-day running of your business, you probably don't. It's only if you've got a very specific requirement. But then in that case, of course, you're going out to these networking meetings going, I'm looking for somebody who can provide me with a phone system, and you get all the shiny suits and the sales and that, don't you?
You suddenly get all the business cards that are going to live in your handbag. Well, not your handbag, because I don't think you've got a handbag. You've got a man bag.
Handbag, I'm still in the 90s.
It wouldn't surprise me either. Or a fanny pack, as our US audience would call it. But is this there is a degree of sort of predatory language that's not when you're seeking somebody like, okay, so I need somebody to help. Say, for example, somebody did. I've got some presentations coming up. Does anyone know how to help with speaking? I'd like to think my name would come up. And that's the beauty of networking, is when you do need somebody, you can go and ask for it. But from a sales point of view and a marketing point of view, as soon as you go, I'm looking for somebody who wants help with their public speaking, all of a sudden you become the predator. You become like, you're like this, I'm seeking you out. And nobody wants to be sold to, not really. Not in the biblical sense, like an infomercial, or like, I don't know. You get like weight loss experts, and I say in inverted commas experts. They might be in multi-level marketing. They might be selling shakes or something like that. And they go, I'm looking for you if you want to lose weight. And you're like, I don't want you to sell your thing to me. I want to be able to identify that within myself and then go and find stuff out accordingly. And there's this sort of not building relationships thing that kind of needs to happen even more. And I think we're learning this, being in this space now, eh?
Yeah, I think you're right. And it's interesting because that sales piece where, somebody says, oh, I'm looking for this, and you get all the predators going, oh, we'll sell you this. My approach is completely different. And I think it is the same with the kind of the support situation as well, is I approach it in a quite personable way. I'll say, right, well, look, this is what we can provide for you. And I step away. You contact me if you're interested.
Right.
And people like that.
Yeah. People are grown-ups. So if you've shared what it is that you do, and that's sparked, and that's not to say, I know there are sales professionals that are watching that will say, fortunes in the follow-up and all of this. And absolutely, yes, follow up, but also trust people to be grown-ups about their buying decisions. Yeah. You don't have to push somebody into doing it. You can grow in a much less pushy way and still, still garner the sale, still build those relationships, and still not push somebody into a sale, especially if they're not ready for it as well. Like treat the people that you're selling to like the grown-ups that they are. They're not stupid just because they might not know they need your services yet. And I always find that a really interesting thing, particularly around sales. So Tom, would you do me a favor? So you look at processes within businesses. Like we said, often you work within logistics, but even though that's not you just happen to have been in logistics and then been referred because that's the nature of how networking works. But what would your tips be for our listeners that are listening right now, that are watching right now, our audience, how would you go about even looking at your processes and thinking, do I need something like this? How do I automate? Like how do you even start to identify that within your business, Tom?
Well, you know what? People don't think, what can I automate? And I always think that is the wrong approach. I have a client who did exactly that. He went to his team and went, what part of your job can be automated? And
how do we get rid of you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I often joke that being a software developer, it's your job to make people redundant. And it's a horrible way of looking at it, but that is the way.
It's awkward.
People buy software. They buy software to replace people, and it's horrible. I see it more as making people more efficient to do their job, so they're freed up to do other things. But if you ask somebody, what part of your job can be automated, you get rubbish answers back, because you might automate something that's not actually a big part of their job. Right. What you need to do is look at what is taking you a long time. What
makes your job easier?
Yeah. I mean, we might build software, but it's not necessarily about automation. Right. It might be about visibility.
Right.
All that kind of stuff. Just how can you make your life easier? I mean, there's loads of things you can do. It might be to do with if you get paper invoices and you've got, like you say, about keying in the accident book and that. Well, if you're spending days and days doing that, well, could you put a system in place that scans it and automatically puts the information in? Yeah,
that was a whole role. I remember only I had targets to meet, so many that I had to get through within the week. But that was me being paid as a whole role for something that could have been made easier. Even if my job then was scanning, I could have got through more. It wasn't about getting rid of my job, but maybe thinking about how do we make that so that I can do more. Not that I want lots of people to have accidents at school, we're talking a long time ago, but yeah, I absolutely get that. So what's the question again that you're asking yourself when we start to look at the process?
Yeah. So what is consuming a lot of your time? What is costing you a lot of money? Yeah. And what do you feel as though you've not got visibility of, really? Right. Those are like 3 key questions that you can ask yourself, and you might not get an answer which is we can automate something or whatever, but you might find there's an improvement to the process or the way you're doing something that will give you that.
Right. Absolutely.
But I mean, and also, being a software developer, my main tip is stop using Excel for everything.
And it's so easy to do, especially when startups are growing from startup to scale. When people are first starting up, they might use Excel spreadsheets to do stuff, and that might be what they need to do in that moment when they first start out. But actually, when you start to look at growth to scale, we're doing that now. We need to look at proper CRM systems. We need to look at all of where do we manage this? Where do we manage our customer base? How do we contact our customer base? Can this be held by a bit of software where I don't have to go, right, I'm going to email that person at that time and have Excel spreadsheets that are going to do that. All my days, my muggle job life is spent on Excel. I know Pixie works in finance department of a company. And that's not a tiny company, but it's on Excel. They need you, Tom. Tell them they need to speak to Maramosa, Pix. That's what they need to do. But yeah, making life easier instead of it, because Excel is almost like the step up from just doing it on bits of paper these days, isn't it?
It is. I mean, people love Excel. There's loads of good things you can do with it, with your charting and pivot tables. I tell you what, though, I mean, I can't work it. I had to watch a video the other day to work out how to do conditional formatting in Excel.
Conditional format. I know how to conditional format on Excel.
Well,
I know nothing else. I know absolutely nothing else about Excel because I really loved the idea of and this was helping me with my sales, and so I'd have a list of warm leads, and then a list of whether I had contacted them, a list of whether they got back to me, and then a tick list of whether we closed the sale or not. And then if I put yes, it would go green, and if I put maybe, it would go yellow, and if I put no, it'd go red, and it made me heart happy. If I just needed to write it and then I had a real visual on it. Formula and all of that sort of stuff I'm not your girl. I am not your girl for that. Diana, I do love it. Give me a pivot table. Conditional formatting is the base. Where are all my Excel geeks? Come through. I see you. Let's give you some love.
I'm going to be outnumbered here.
I'm at that point, Nicola's just saying, I'm at that point now where Excel is no longer suitable and we need something more. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. They bloody do. I'm part of the innovation team to build a new system, but they're still basing it on the current NAF system. You find this quite a lot, don't you, Tom? It's the way that we've always done it sort of thinking.
Yeah. I mean, I've banged this drum a few times, but the worst phrase used in business is, that's how we've always done it.
That's how we've always done it. We don't want to learn anything new. God forbid.
And it's funny, there are times when you can't change that mindset.
Right.
You know, I mean, we've had clients where they're like, look, for whatever technical reasons, they know that they need to replace the system they're using. Right. You know, whether it's based on an old access system or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And they come to you and go, right, we just need a replacement for this. Yeah. And I come in going, wow, what can we do here? And I'm like, well, you could do this and this will streamline this and it'll, whatever else. And they're just like, no, we just want it to mirror what we already do. And we had a guy and he had, those in and out trays that you put on your desk or people would have done years ago.
Well,
you have
I've just showed you my desk. No, I've just showed my desk looks like this.
My desk is a bit more tidy because I've got it's so small. Diana. I've got a vertical dock, so my laptop's in this dock and it's making loads of noise because it's overheating. But it's got my keyboard on and stuff. But yeah, this guy, he had an in and out tray, and he worked in a very methodical way with his papers, and he wanted his system to do exactly the way he's always worked. And we were like, look, we can improve this for you. We can streamline things, and he weren't having any of it. It had to work exactly the way he always worked, and there was no change in this guy's mindset. Oh, no. Conversely, we've gone to clients and said, right, well, the people who are open to change, Yeah, and
I think that's where we get to choose our clients. So this is another one of the things that we wanted to talk about this morning. Sorry, I didn't finish what you're saying, but actually being able to say no to people when it comes to choosing your work as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is something I've learned recently. And it does sort of fit in with the sort of when things go wrong hot scenario, because taking on a job that you shouldn't have took on it's just bad. But people will take a job on for the money.
Yeah, and I think this is a difficult thing, and especially if we're entrepreneurs and small businesses, what often we do is we just see, okay, well, we've got our sales targets to meet this week, because our sales targets really dictate whether our mortgage gets paid or whether our kids get fed. Or so when we're taking on those jobs, we're taking it on almost with the wrong intention. It's just with the money in mind. And I think that's a balance that we've got to learn as entrepreneurs, to be able to tip, to be able to say, actually, if I take on this piece of job, it's going to take me more time than I would normally intend, because there's going to be an incongruency. And also, I'm going to resent it. I'm going to feel sad doing this job because this person that I'm going to work with isn't going to be working with me in the way that they need either, and it becomes sort of, you end up like this and you're at odds, where actually if you took on the right person, you'd get the work that you both needed doing done quicker.
Exactly. And it's multifaceted, because it does come down to the idea of buying from a person, and you're working with that person. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, in our game, it's slightly different, because I might get a job from someone I've worked with for many years, but the job's actually been subcontracted to them or subcontracted to us through somebody else, and the end client may not be the kind of person or business that I'd want to work with, and it might not be a good fit, But also, I've been guilty over the years of chasing coin,
Sometimes we do. It's necessary. It's like I said, it's the choice between hitting your bottom line sales targets in order to pay your bills and not.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Including your business overheads.
Yeah, but I think it can sort of run away with itself sometimes. And I mean, what I've learned recently is sometimes it's better to just take stock, take a step back and be less busy than taking on all these extra new jobs that, either they might not be a good fit, you may not have, you may not have in the team the correct capacity to deal with. You might be stretching capacity to deal with it, and then you don't get the result you want, and everybody's pissed off.
Because you've been guilty, as well as I have, of still working 2, 3, 4 in the morning, ready to get up for 9 o'clock the next morning to go again because you've taken on a job, not that you can't do, but a job that has got more involvement in it than maybe you originally anticipated. You've got to make sure you weigh up these choices and weigh up who you're bringing in as a result in terms of clients.
Definitely, but I think that also goes with staffing as well. I mean, we took on a job towards the end of last year. We were mental busy, right, with the whole Brexit and logistics stuff. But we took on a job because it was come through an existing client who I had a very good relationship with, and it was for, like I said, it was for a big global brand name. And one of our juniors we took on was really into the IP. So I was like, well, this is a great fit then. She's got ownership of the project. She can deal with that or whatever, you know.
Do you mean the intellectual property?
Yes. Yes. So, you know, it was really into the brand, into the product. And it was a marketing website sort of affair we were doing. So we had a member of staff who was really into it. So I was like, well, this is great. You can own this project or whatever. And it just didn't work out for whatever reason. And then, of course, we were that stretched. Do you know what I mean? That it was like, well, it's no good for anybody, this now.
Right. And you've got to be able to
picking those battles, whether it is a client that you're not sure about working with, whether you've got capacity in the team, whether you've got the right people to do the job, or if, you know, I mean, if someone in the team drops the ball, they leave, for example, mid-project or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And then you're like overstretched. And that's a lesson I've had to learn, to basically take a step back and go, you know what? We're not taking on any new work right now.
Yeah,
we're going to take a step back.
Let's
breathe,
focus and work at our capacity, as opposed to taking it on. So we're so far stretched that actually, if one of the dominoes falls, then the bubble pops.
And I think that's it's something that people, you know, business owners learn over.
I'm learning
time.
it now. Right now, I'm learning it. So I get so excited about the ways in which I can serve my audience in lots and lots of different ways. And you lot see this. I don't hide any of this from you guys watching. So I'll have something that's an incredible idea that will be phenomenal, but then I'll also be in the midst of running something and running something else and running something else and running something else. And all of a sudden it'll be like a bridge too far. And it'll fall out of alignment immediately. Either the idea will have been great and it won't have been the right time to sell it because I've just got excited, and then it's actually choosing, okay, well, do you know what? I'm going to step back from this thing. If I persist in trying to make this thing happen, I think I'm just going to make myself sad. I'm going to make everyone around me sad because I'm going to be taking on all this extra work and I don't actually need to. It's not a necessity. I would much rather shrink what it is that I'm doing and do that really, really well than go like feeling like a really overblown up balloon ready to pop at any point. And, you know, like for the next 6-7 weeks, for example, I've stripped back everything that I'm doing and just focusing on being inspired because I really want to make that event what it's going to be. I could have thrown out another lot of one-to-ones, thrown out another Be More incubator, for the sake of throwing it out. Like, oh, because I'm not selling anything and I'm scared. I'm scared I'm not going to bring anything in. Actually trusting that the pieces that have worked that I've got have the ability, when I deliver really well on them, to generate that income anyway. And it's almost like you've got to learn to trust yourself to make those decisions, haven't you? Yeah, definitely. But it's about, I think, being true to yourself. Yeah. Not just in what you want to do, but what you're capable of doing and delivering in the way that you want to do. Right. You know, and I'm very much of the opinion at the moment that I want my team to have less pressure and perhaps be almost, I don't want to say under capacity with the workload, but have enough breathing space that we can, you know, well, let's make sure we're upskilling correctly and stuff like that. Having the time to do that, you know. Yeah. So, Tom, I mean, we're running out of time today. I know we could shoot the breeze all day on all sorts of stuff because I know that, you know, we have agreeable and different opinions on lots and lots of things. But I would love to know what is coming up for you. Like, how's the whole Brexit situation, your involvement in logistics, like at Christmas time and in January particularly when it was all sort of happening. I know you were working around the clock to help people, almost help people get in and out of the bloody country was some of the stuff that you were working on. And we're still working on it. We're still working on it. You know, businesses are finding it really difficult at the moment with, you know, the paperwork requirements and stuff. You know, we've been involved for 2 years now in building a system with a client to allow people to just get their customs paperwork done, the safety and security, the
port passes to get in and out of the UK and into various countries. You know, the Northern Ireland situation came in quite late in the game, so people didn't really know what was going on with that. So, you know,
so you have to navigate all of that.
So we're helping people with that. You know, well, yeah. I mean, we built software to help people deal with that, but obviously, people didn't know how Brexit was going to affect them, how the customs checks were going to work, especially as the agreement came in so late in the year. So we're still learning. People are learning. You know, we're working with businesses who are like, look, we just can't get our goods over to Ireland, to our own.
There's like no official formal communication that comes over to everybody about these things as well. It's almost like, you know, with the vaccination situation with COVID, like we're just sort of having to trust hearsay because there's no real formal communication that comes to us. Okay, so who's being vaccinated at the moment? Is it the over 50s? Is it what? We don't know. And we're just having to assume it. And it's only when we get the news right at the last minute that we realise we've got to move. And there's very little preparation time. And that's what a lot of businesses have found. There's lots of talk in Parliament, lots of talk in the media, lots of talk. And then actually when, oh, Brexit has happened, you've got some businesses that are like this, wait a sec, what do we need? What do we need to know? And I know you've been really integral for helping people get navigate that and get through the actual physicality of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some businesses who are just like the cost of doing the paperwork makes it, you know, they don't want to move these because they will not take on jobs because it's not worth them doing anymore.
It's not worth it.
But you know, we're helping with that. I mean, we're working with a company at the moment that are trying to move some goods from Lancashire over to somewhere in Ireland. And they need to get their customs paperwork done. So they want a solution where they can just supply us with an Excel document, funnily enough, and that'll be transformed into the customs declaration. It'll go over to the relevant authorities and everything gets cleared or whatever else. So, you know, so we're helping people with that. You know, we've learned a lot over the last 2 years, and, you know, goalposts are changing, and there are further deadlines in the whole Brexit debacle, you know, that are going to affect businesses, and people don't really know until the last second. So we're doing our best to help people with that by providing them with those integration pieces to get the job done.
So they can get out and in.
Basically, yeah.
So what about when all that's done, what's coming up for you?
I'm going to retire and open a sandwich shop.
Get Brexit done and then open a butty shop. And Tom, I will be there. You've got one of the beautiful things that you do. You've got World Food Wednesday that you do with your kids, and all of the other lush stuff that you do, as well as all of the like logistical and software development stuff. And I just think, you know, as a family, between you and Pretty and the girls, you've got this wonderful dynamic, and you know, you've got Pretty doing the homeschooling and supporting you with your business, and then you've got you really doing all of these things and creating all of these wonderful things for the businesses that you work with as well. And I just honestly so proud of you and everything that you're doing. And I love having you on the show to shoot the shit with you and to catch up. So definitely.
Hopefully we'll do it in person soon when we're allowed.
Oh man, we'll get him a new house. Well, we were allowed 6 people in the garden, not including kids. So you and Pretty coming over. We can have a socially distanced barbecue.
Awesome.
All right, my darling. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. It's been lovely to catch up with you. Tom from Maramosa, everybody.
See you soon.
What an interesting, different type of conversation bringing to the table this morning for you all. There are so many facets of industry that I want to be able to talk to you about. And one of the beautiful things about the show at Rise Up Show is that, you know, one day we could be talking about sexuality and gender equality, and the next day we could be talking about software development and Brexit. And I just, honestly, one of the things that really fills me up is that we have access to so many wonderful people as part of this community. If you do want to come on to the show at Rise Up Show, we are specifically looking for more. I called myself out on it earlier on this week. I've sent an email to everybody on my email list. If you're not on my email list, go to imthequeenbee.co.uk, pop your email in at the bottom there and sign up. We don't spam, but we do tell you what's kind of going on in IATQB land. And one of the things that I've noticed is that with the show, we have dropped the ball with regards to diversity. So there have been a few weeks now, it's been an all white lineup, and it is absolutely not acceptable. So I am actively going out and having conversations with people of colour, members of the LGBTQ plus community, members of the disabled community, and more, ensuring certain hope that we can bring more of you through so I can share the mic. I've got a platform for a reason, and one of the reasons is that I want to share these conversations and allow space to give you guys access to different ways of thinking as well, because it's necessary, isn't it, as we're broadening our horizons. So if you know phenomenal people, if you know people who would be really cool for me to have a chat with of a morning at 9:30, wherever they are in the world, I am specifically giving preference, and rightly so, to people of colour, to members of the LGBTQ plus community, and to our disabled community. Please do, if you know phenomenal people, incredible people, people with stories, people with wonderful businesses that we want to share, get them tagged in. Please do connect us. Tell them about the Hive. Tell them about the show. It is going to be a team and community effort to make sure we sit within our value set of diversity. It is important. My work on my side is to make sure that I'm making approaches and directly asking for people, and not just saying, hey, here's a link. Well, I did share the link. I expected everybody to fall over themselves. I want you all to know that this is an absolutely safe space to be sharing these wonderful stories of inspiration, motivation, celebration, and business and strategy as well. So if you know someone wicked who wants to come on the show, you think would be a great fit for the show, and they want to be taking the platform in different places, please do tag them, tell them about the community, tell them to go and give me a follow and message at the Queen Bee Dani on Instagram. Operation Swipe Up is going good guns. Go and follow me on the Insta if you don't already, at the Queen Bee Dani. Go and get involved in the conversation there, and I will see you tomorrow with another short Wise At Rise Up show. Have an incredible day. Happy Thursday to all of you. I'm going to go and get a brew. I'll see you later. Tra.